10 years ago, I started working with an amazing teacher, mentor, ceremonialist called Sal Gencarelli. You might have heard me talking about him before. He's from the Helpers Mentoring Society, and I've done 2 episodes with him quite a long time ago now, actually. For the next 8 years, I had signed up for his year-long programs and attended all of the in-person courses that I could and the online trainings. And it has been a journey that literally changed my life and is still changing my life. In this episode, I'm going to tell you about my most recent encounter with Sal's teaching, 10 years in, and ceremony, including my own fire quest. Because we're releasing this episode in the week before the winter solstice, that longest night, that turning point when the darkness is deepest, just before the light begins its return. And I didn't plan this, but as I sit with it, I can feel how perfect the timing is, because this has been the year of the snake, a descent of inwards, shedding skins, old identities, breaking patterns of self betrayal, exposing hidden truths, a year of strengthening our own intuition and outgrowing old versions of ourselves. And we're about to cross the threshold into 2026, the year of the horse. The horse awakens momentum, calling us to rise. There will be renewal, independence, clarity, and bold action ahead. We're going to reclaim our direction, finally chase what our spirits have been calling us towards. But before we can gallop forwards, we need to honor what the snake has taught us. We need to sit in the darkness one more time and let the fire show us what's ready to burn away. In this episode, I'm going to share with you what a fire quest actually is and why fire holds such power as a teacher and a transformer, especially at threshold moments like this one. I'll take you through my recent experience of sitting with the fire all night and what emerged from that. You'll hear about the lineage of earth-based ceremony that informs all of my work and how these ancient practices help us step more fully into our purpose. I'm also going to share honestly about what this year of the snake has asked of me, the shedding, the stripping away, the truth that got exposed, because I think many of you have been in your own descent this year, and there's power in witnessing each other's journeys. And I'll introduce you to Laura McNally, the visionary whose courage and vision opened this entire path for me and for so many others. So settle in, because this is a story about transformation and courage and about what it means to truly show up for life, especially now, especially at this turning point. So I need to tell you about Laura McNally. Laura died in 2018. And when I reconnected with this work recently, looking at my journey, I felt her presence so strongly, because none of what I do, none of it would exist without her. Laura was a light. She was a visionary who lit people up in the most beautiful way, creative and open and playful and powerful. And she courageously carved her own path. She homeschooled her son, bringing him into this really rich life with nature and connection and community. She was deeply committed to working with young people who were struggling, or helping people find healing, all people, through nature, and to building the kind of community and culture that supports all of us in thriving. Laura was the person who brought this work into my life. She discovered the teachings that we're now both part of, and she took me with her 8 hours across the country for the first time. We went to meet Sal the first time back in 2015. After one weekend, I was totally hooked, and I signed up for my first year-long program, which took me through a year of ceremony and connection, the likes of which I had never even known. And I'd already done my eco-psychology training, and I'd already trained and worked with Starhawk and other nature-based spirituality practitioners, including the amazing Annie Spencer, who is my mentor to this day. But and I guess it was with Annie that I kind of experienced my spiritual awakening. But what happened with Sal was the next level, and I wouldn't have found it without Laura. For several years, Laura and I walked this path together, learning ceremony, doing vision quests, deepening into the work, doing sweat lodges. And then her life took a turn that none of us expected. She faced a profound health challenge that asked everything of her. I was privileged to walk beside her through some of that journey, and what I witnessed was someone who met life with extraordinary courage and commitment and openness and possibility. And she showed me what it means to really, truly show up, no matter what. Laura died in 2018, leaving her incredible son and a community of people whose lives she touched and transformed. And the work that she founded continues. Live Wild is a community interest company in Calderdale. Also, the Calder Valley Woodlands School, which grew from Burn and Bray that Laura created, still exists. And over the past few years, nearly, I think, 100 people have either nature quested or fire quested with me. All of the people I've trained or coached with, it's all because of this life path that is absolutely part of Laura's legacy. So I just really want to say thank you to Laura. What you gave, continues to ripple out. Your courage, your vision, your belief that connection matters, it really lives on in so many ways. So now let me tell you about fire quests, because this was something I did the first time with Laura as well. And this is an ancient practice that most people don't encounter in their everyday lives. But it's one of the most powerful tools for transformation. And especially at this time of year, this threshold between the year of the snake and the year of the horse, between the longest night and the return of the light, fire has a medicine that I think we all need. And a fire quest is an amazing way, a ceremonial practice where you can sit with fire through the night, all night in prayer, reflection, and communion with the sacred. Unlike a kind of a vision quest where you go out into nature alone, typically without food or water for several days, a fire quest means you stay with the fire and you tend it and you watch it and you allow yourself to be witnessed by it. Fire has been the original gathering place for humans since the beginning of time. It's where our ancestors told stories, where councils were held, where truth was spoken, where the young were initiated and the old were honored. And when you sit with fire all night, you are entering into one of the most ancient human practices there is. This is technology for transformation that every culture has practiced in some form, sitting with fire at the threshold moments. But you're not just keeping yourself warm. Fire is a living being, a teacher, a transformer, our most oldest elder. And it consumes what is dead and solid mass and releases light and energy. And it keeps the darkness at bay while also illuminating what needs to be seen. Fire is the kind of destroyer, but it's also the creator, the life giver. It clears the old growth so that new life can emerge. And it warms us and brings us light through the coldest, darkest nights. Because just think about fire for a moment. It's constant, doesn't waver, doesn't make excuses. It just burns with complete commitment to its nature. It transforms everything it touches. What's solid becomes ash, becomes smoke, becomes heat and light. Fire shows us that transformation isn't comfortable, but it's necessary. It teaches us about impermanence, about letting go, about what happens when we truly commit to something. And isn't that exactly what the snake has been teaching us this year? Shedding what's dead, letting the old skin fall away, composting the versions of ourselves that are done. During a fire quest, you bring your questions, your prayers, your intentions to the fire, and you sit through the cold and through the discomfort, through the parts of the night when everything in you wants to quit and go to sleep. The fire becomes a companion, your witness, your mirror. And it shows you what needs to burn away, what needs to be illuminated. It asks you to stay present when your mind wants to wander, to stay awake when your body wants to sleep, to keep showing up even when it gets hard. People do fire quests when they're at a threshold, when they need clarity about their path, when they're making a significant life change, or when they need to rebalance their relationship with their purpose, when they're ready to meet themselves without the distractions and comforts of daily life. And I will tell you, it's not comfortable, but it's real and it's powerful. Before I tell you about my fire quest, I need to tell you about this year, because what I brought to the fire when I did my quest didn't just appear out of nowhere. It was born from what 2025 had asked of me. This has been the year of the snake, a descent inwards. And for me, that descent has been profound. I have had so much training over the years. I couldn't be more trained and experienced in this work. But until this year, I really always positioned myself as very humble. And don't get me wrong, being humble is really important. But this year, something got stripped away. And I had to look at the difference between humility and hiding, because knowing that what I do can serve more people and make more impact, that's not arrogance, that's responsibility. And I see this pattern in so many of the people that I work with who do great work at community level. Not everyone wants to be rich and global, but almost everyone wants enough ease in their life and work to make good choices about what they spend their money on. They want to be able to be generous with their time and money. They want to know their gifts are serving life. That's me. And this year, well, this year I was kind of stripped of excuses, and I'm here to serve life, to support people who want to serve life in the best way they can, with all of the attributes of connection, to model a different type of leadership that starts from really listening and from feeling and from uniting heart, mind, body, and spirit, but also having strategy and support. But that clarity didn't come gently. This year has been pretty intense because I was thrust into perimenopause, so striking that I don't really recognize myself sometimes. I've hit my edge, definitely, but I also have a clearer vision for what's next than I've ever had. I got heavily involved at one point in holding grief space and raising money for friends in Gaza, and it made me realize we really are in the thick of it right now, humanity. The time is now. You know, are you one who recognizes life as sacred or not? Are you able to see that we're at a time of global transition? Are you able to understand the moral imperative of these times and how this filters into everything that's coming? We need to stand strong right now. We need to create from beauty and belief and trust, as well as hold back the wrongs and support those who are using their bodies to do so. And I learned that when everything is stripped away, all the meaning and the things that we think we know, we still live and breathe. But we can create from a place of choice. And I guess it all sounds quite fanciful in a way when we say that. But if you've ever gone down the path of grief or loss or huge transition, you'll have touched onto this too, I think. And this insight, this type of knowing, it's there for all of us. It comes when we create spaces for it, when we do the work. I'm lucky, I've cultivated networks of support over a long time, systems of connection and healing. I have coaches, mentors, elders, community that I have purposely and intentionally created and nurtured. And I have work that I love. And I still felt like I was going crazy at times this year. But in a way, I think that's what helps me to understand and have a deep empathy for those who are lonely and struggling and isolated and frustrated because they know they've got more to give. This year, I've held quite a few nature quests and they've been deep. I've held a whole group of people through our connected leadership program, and it's been so powerful. I've launched a deeper version of my Life Compass curriculum and the community that's part of that. And I'm loving it right now. It's so rich and intimate, and it does what it says it does. And I've tried things. Some things have failed. I've lost money. And then I've tried other things that have grown my business more than it's ever grown before. And it's a journey, right? What I know now is that whoever comes into my ecosystem is doing so at a powerful time. I see all the leaders, space holders, parents, facilitators, I know, managers, teachers, people who hold people who need this connection to something deeper, who are ready to embrace the year of the horse with support and inspiration. And with all of this knowing, then I returned to be held in ceremony by Sal, my teacher, after a couple of years of not doing any work with him because I'd been integrating all the teachings that I'd picked up before from the previous 8 years. And I was really focusing on my coaching business and my family and leading ceremonies for others. But I needed to return as a quester for myself and to sit with my own questions and to be held by the container of ceremony rather than holding it for others. And I didn't necessarily choose to do the fire quest right now at this time. It just happened to be now, but it was perfect. Divine timing usually is, right? I believe that life gives us what we need. And this was it for me, a threshold from a challenging year into not plain sailing, but a clearer path, a deeper commitment to serve through my offerings. So when Sal came back to the UK, I signed up for this fire quest, and it's the first full night I'd committed to in quite a long time. And I went to the fire quest with questions about my work, about how to show up more fully, about what was mine to bring forward now at this time in my life. I'd been feeling that tension between kind of playing it safe and really stepping up. And everything that the snake had shown me this year, I needed to sit with the fire and let it burn away what was left. And I won't share everything because some things need to stay in the sacred container. But I can tell you this. The first hours work for me were about settling, building the fire properly, finding my place, making my prayers, letting the daylight drop away. There's a kind of particular quality to the dusk when you know that you're staying there all night. The world shifts, you shift, you're crossing that threshold as the night deepens. And that's when, for me, the physical intensity came in this time, this nausea, this shaking, this sense of everything old and stuck moving through me like a purge. I spent long stretches literally with my face in the dirt beside the fire, feeling like I was composting parts of myself that were that were so done. Old fears, old stories, old ways of being that I'd been dragging around like dead weight. The careful coach, the humble one who doesn't claim too much, the one who waits for permission. These weren't serving me anymore. They were deadwood. And fire doesn't negotiate with deadwood, it just burns it. The fire was burning those things up, and my body was processing the release, and it was hard, really, really hard. And there were moments when I thought I could just go back to that warm house at the top of the hill. I could say that I'd done as much as I could, but that's the thing about fire. It doesn't let you off the hook. It just keeps burning, constant and true. And it asks you to match that constancy, to stay, to keep showing up, even when it's uncomfortable. And somewhere in the deep, in the middle of the night, in the hardest part, a clarity kind of came through. Kind of clearing. And I could see how I'd been playing small in certain ways and holding back the things that I really wanted to do and wanted to offer. And I'd been letting fear dress itself up as humility or being realistic and cautionary. And the fire just kept burning and it asked me, what are you waiting for? What are you so afraid of? What else is there to do? I've got all these ideas and I've just been holding them. All these longings for community that does regular ceremonies, that meets and learns together. And all I could hear were excuses that sounded hollow in the firelight. And as the hours moved towards the dawn, I felt something shift. Like, it wasn't dramatic. It was just a settling into the truth and a recognition of who I am now. Not who I was when I started this path 10 years ago, not who I thought I should be, but who I actually am. And she is ready. She's done hiding. She's done waiting. By the time the sun started to break through the horizon, I was exhausted and cracked open, but clear. The fire had burned away the excuses. The message I carried away from the fire was, this is not the time to play small. This is not the time to hide our light. If we know our calling, it is absolutely our responsibility, our ability to respond to the challenges of life today, the world of disconnection and sickness, and to bring our gifts fully. And I also experience a kind of profound knowing that when we bring our gifts, when we show up fully to who we are meant to be, life will give us what we need to do that, to learn and grow, but also in terms of resources, the universe, spirit, the sacred, whatever you want to call it, it meets us when we step forward. But we have to step forward. We have to do the healing work. We have to do the connection practices and see the guidance when it's offered. This is the wisdom of the snake and the wisdom that the snake is handing to the horse now. We're leaving behind what slowed us down in 2025 so we can step into 2026 with a heart that refuses to settle and 4 legs that will carry us forwards. So Let the snake's wisdom guide your steps now. Let the horse's spirit carry your soul forward, because who you are becoming is finally ready to move. I came back from that fire quest with a renewed commitment to share these teachings through my work, through ceremony, through the way that I show up, and through community. And here's what I want you to understand about the work I do. Everything I offer, from my one-to-one coaching to the group programs to the nature quest weekends that I run in West Yorkshire, it's all rooted in this earth-based lineage. It's rooted in the understanding that we need ceremony and connection and nature to remember who we really are. When I work with clients in my Life Compass curriculum or in Pathways to Purpose, my coaching program, we're not just talking about goal setting or productivity. We're talking about connected self-leadership, about leading your life from a place of deep connection to yourself, to nature, to the sacred, and through community. We're talking about everyday spirituality, not spirituality that's reserved for special occasions or retreats, but spirituality that informs how you parent, how you work, how you relate, how you make decisions. And yes, part of that work involves bringing people to the fire, to the quest of some sort, to the practices that our ancestors knew were essential. Because these aren't luxuries or nice to haves. They're how we mark the transitions of our lives. They're how we find clarity when we're lost. They're how we remember that we're part of something so much bigger. The people I've been privileged to hold through their own quests, whether fire quests or nature quests, they don't come back the same. They come back clearer, more aligned, more willing to step into their calling. And that's what we need right now. Not more people playing small, but people fully alive to their purpose. And this is part of Laura's legacy too. She understood that connection matters, that ceremony matters, that nature matters. And through her courage and her vision, she opened a path that continues to light the way for so many of us. In 2026, I'm calling in a movement of people holding connection at the core of who they are and what they do. People who hold integrated living at their very foundation and understand the power that comes from that. Because here's what I see. Whoever comes into my ecosystem now is doing so at a super powerful time in history and in my history. And I see the leaders, space holders, parents, facilitators, managers, teachers, all the people holding people who need that connection to something deeper. All of you who are ready to embrace the year of the horse with support and inspiration. What I want you to know is that I'm not special or any different to you. You have what it takes to step more fully into your higher self. This is what these times are calling for. However you do that, we are the ones that we've been waiting for. And all that we've been through until now, all that the snake has taught us, has led us here. So go forth, beautiful one. I really long to feel the shared field of our deeper connections, stronger communities, stronger families, and beings who are fully alive to their purpose, knowing that our children's children will have a chance in and in that they'll have a chance to step into the world that supports them in being who they're meant to be. So if this episode has touched something in you, if you are feeling that call to a more purpose, if you're ready to transform from the year of the snake into the year of the horse, I want to invite you to explore more. Head over to my website. You'll find a link in the show notes, and sign up for my mailing list if you're not already on it. I share regular reflections and teachings and opportunities to connect more deeply with this work. And if you're curious about what ceremony and questing can do for your own journey, or if you're standing at this threshold and need more clarity, more resources, more support, and if you're ready to stop playing small and step into your calling, reach out. This work is for all of us. The fire is always burning, waiting to witness your prayers and burn away what no longer serves. As we approach the solstice, that longest night, that turning point, I invite you to sit with your own fire in whatever way feels right. Campfire, light a candle, just tend to your heart, your inner fire. Ask yourself, what did the snake teach me this year? What am I ready to burn away? What is the horse calling me towards? And together, through this awareness, through this intentional, conscious creation, we can create the culture of belonging and regeneration that our world so desperately needs. Thank you for listening. And until next time, may you walk in beauty. The longest night is coming, and then the light returns.